Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. Let me introduce myself. My name is Pedro. I'm in charge of UniFi Enterprise sales for Flytec within the United States and Latin America. And if for those of you who don't know Flytec very well, our headquarters are in the Miami area. We've been a master distributor of Ubiquiti UniFi for over 15 years. We normally carry several $1 million of inventory for the brand all the time. We try to have as much as we can. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult. They keep coming up with so many great products that are so popular, but we do our best. We have our own in-house tech support for helping you design your projects. I did want to mention there's going to be a UniFi World Conference in Miami on Tuesday, November 4th. During this presentation, I'm going to put a link there for anybody that wants to register for that. It's free. It's a one-day event where UniFi usually talks about everything that's coming out new hardware, new software, new features, new things for the Enterprise Partner Program. So hopefully you can join us there and I can meet you in person. I'm also going to put a link to our website, to Flytec's website, where you can buy Ubiquiti UniFi products. And so that's about all the commercial here. So we have Andrew Pieper, a UniFi Solutions engineer that's going to be in charge of the presentation. So please go ahead, Andrew.
Hey everyone, thanks for the introduction, Pedro. Nice to be with everyone today. I always enjoy meeting with you, and I swear I do one of these it feels like I do one of these Flytec webinars here about every month. Just about. I think you guys do the most webinars of anybody. So I get to know your customers pretty well, and I always enjoy meeting with you guys, and thanks for taking the time. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over one of our most exciting areas that our company is growing in. So, those of you that don't know, UniFi, we've been around for a while now. Really started doing, network, indoor wireless, that's the type of thing about 15 years ago. That was the beginning of UniFi, and since then we've grown to be like an end-to-end IT solution, all built around the same kind of value proposition, which is free cloud access, really intuitive and easy to use software, and license free. So everything without recurring costs. And this has been an exciting trajectory because we're really at the point now within the last couple of years we've really started to create a product that is ideal for enterprise environments. Now, some of you may be, been out on Reddit before, or been on some of these social media platforms and heard the discussions or debates about, is UniFi Enterprise ready? I work with and helping migrate a lot of large customers from other vendors to UniFi, and the amount of large customers I see moving to UniFi and having great experience. I work with multiple new people every week that are doing that, and sometimes it's thousands of sites. I can tell you we absolutely have a product that can handle enterprise deployments. A lot of those concerns that you may see about, as Ubiquiti Enterprise reflect honestly valid criticisms, just things that we've addressed within the last 2 or 3 years. People used to say we have no phone support, and that's a problem for enterprise. That makes sense. We needed phone support to be able to serve enterprise environments. And we've, of course, incorporated that, and we have now 24/7 phone support, but it's still hard to get that message out, especially where we don't have people knocking down your door. We don't have a big enough team to do that. And so I try to get the word out, but of course, everyone's got a different opinion on it, but seeing that I work firsthand with customers, I can tell you UniFi solution now is very suitable for enterprise organizations. And today we'll talk about kind of like one of the key parts of the product, our enterprise product suite that has really has been a necessary requirement, something we need to add, which is our Enterprise Fortress Gateway. This is our newest gateway device that can handle whatever scale you throw at it. So this is a gateway that has 25 gig fiber ports on it. It can have 25 gig WAN. It can do multi-WAN, including failover and load balancing. It's got redundant power supplies, as you can see here. It can be set up in VRRP mode with automatic failover and sync all that configuration from over to the second device. So as soon as there's an outage, it can be automatically transferred to the other device and handle that network connectivity without and minimizing network downtime. This basically adds a lot of new features to the product line that we needed to be enterprise ready. I can't tell you how long I heard from customers we want redundant power supplies. Now with our enterprise stack of products, we've got all redundant power supplies on it. And what's cool is we've tested this at the highest scale, and we've used it in real deployments. FedEx Form is one example where we did it for, they use Enterprise Fortress Gateway in shadow mode, 2 of those units for the whole stadium, and it handles everything very well. We also have tons of other case studies. If you go here to our case studies here, we've got several other examples where many of these are using our Enterprise Fortress Gateway or enterprise gateways, including K-12 school districts, universities. I'm seeing all types of customers, and I'm seeing a lot of popularity among education, especially because education is a perfect mixture of enterprise need. Like, they need all the features, the security features that we can give them, but they also are more price sensitive than a lot of companies because they're tied to that budget and the funding that's available through the state. And that means that they are always going to be more price sensitive, which is why UniFi is a really great option for them, because we provide a enterprise quality solution with while eliminating that license fees and those costs that end up making it untenable for a school district to be able to manage. So we've got all these case studies here. You can check them out, but like examples of other large scale events we're doing with UniFi now that show you what kind of scale we can handle. We've got we just published this one recently. This is actually using 2 UXG enterprises, which is similar to the Enterprise Fortress Gateway, just doesn't run the network software on it. But they managed to use this for their event, Shopify, that handled 27,000 plus total clients connected at the same time. And that's including 17,500 Wi-Fi clients at once. So you talk about an enterprise scale. I don't think anyone here on this call, some of you probably are from an enterprise environment, but I don't think anybody here is running a single enterprise enterprise office building that has 27,000 concurrently connected clients. But in the event that you are, we can see this case study and know that even with full stack UniFi network equipment, we're able to handle that type of scale. So for the first time, I can say within the last couple of years with UniFi, if your question is, can UniFi handle my scale of my deployment? The answer is now yes. If you use our enterprise stack, I'm very confident we can handle virtually whatever scale you throw at us. There may be some very extreme media applications where you might need even more throughput than some of our than 25 gigs, but I don't think pretty much anyone here has access to that. And so you'll find that this is a solution that can really do anything that you throw at it, and that's really a nice thing to be able to say now, because it takes a lot of that concern and planning out of the equation, because I can assure you that we have products now that can handle whatever scale you need to do. So check out those case studies, but I'm going to go back to go over the Fortress Gateway specifically. That's why we're here. And just in terms of features, this device is really well featured. As you can see here, what's unique about our cloud gateways is that they are acting as that next generation firewall device, a router, and they also act as the UniFi console for your environment. This means that this runs the actual software application that you use to manage all your access points, switches, and everything, and all while it's doing all these other tasks, including things like SSL inspection, decryption, intrusion detection, prevention, VRRP failover, all these different resources it can do all simultaneously. And so this is much more powerful gateway than we offer on any of our other products. So this will really be suitable for a school, a large school, for a large office building. Basically, I see customers all the time that either the scale means they're using the amount of scale that they need with 5,000 plus clients, and this can handle upwards of 10,000 devices if you depending on the application. So we can definitely really scale up beyond that. But if you're some people use Enterprise Fortress Gateway because they have a lot of clients. Some people use it because they need the most cutting edge security features, and some people use it because they want the highest throughput. Whatever reason that you need, there's definitely a lot of benefit from using this product. It comes with an MSRP of $2,000. And what's cool about this product also, though, is it's part of our enterprise partner program, meaning if you're a value-added reseller or a MSP integrator, you can actually register all your deals using our enterprise products, and you can also access additional margin, which is part of what we're trying to do to address those concerns. People in the past used to say, oh yeah, UniFi is a great product, but I can't afford to sell it because we don't make as much margin as we do with other products. That's even addressed with these new products as well. So we're trying to address all those concerns heard from some of our customers and still deliver that really good value to the end customer. What's cool about this device, it also includes, I mentioned, SSL inspection and decryption. As far as I know, this is the only product out there that offers that license free. So that's a security feature that allows you to really get a lot of information about what's going on in your network. What we do is we can inspect packets for content, like look for things like search terms, stuff like that. So let's say you're a school and you want to have really granular insight into what kinds of websites are being accessed, what types of searches are done, and be able to set up automatic filters that say if someone goes to search for guns, that we're going to block that. Now we have content filtering and we have that category for weapons and guns and everything, but SSL inspection decryption takes it even further beyond that because it's going to go into inspect those packets and looking for any sort of queries and things like that. They're looking for guns and that type of content. So it goes beyond what content filtering will do. So this is a really good all-around product that whatever the reason, whether it's security, bandwidth, or scalability, this can do whatever you need it to do. And we provide on our website, we provide some nice metrics here that you can use compared to other products. So some products out there, if you're familiar with Fortinet, if you've used them in the past or whatever product that we're comparing us to, we have positioned this product to be competitive with those solutions. And what's great is this has a much lower upfront cost with no recurring fees, but some of these solutions also will go advertised based on these criteria. We try to create a lot of specs here that you can use to go kind of better help you position it as it relates to another third-party solution. So you can see here we support, we can handle a lot of throughput in terms of VPN. So you can, SD-WAN with UniFi is totally free, and that includes you can set up site-to-site VPN mesh between your different sites, up to 20 sites, or you can do even a hub and spoke configuration. And this can be your hub for your network, and you can have 1,000 sites that all connect back to that central hub, including having complex arrangements like failover and things like that. But this is really a great solution across the board for value. I mentioned the VRRP with shadow mode. It can handle whatever scale, 25 gig performance. This is our highest throughput router device. And it's got all those advanced security features. With IDS and IPS enabled, you can still see over 12 gigabits per second of routing capacity, which is very impressive. If you go look at what you're using right now, a lot of you will find that your current gateway has less capacity than this. And that means that we are very competitive with a lot of other vendor products out there. So again, I want to open up a moment for a few questions about the product before we move on to actually demoing the product and showing how to use these different features. But I want to give everyone a moment to ask me some questions. Pedro, do we have any questions that we need to respond to about the Fortress Gateway?
There is one question from Russell. He's asking, are ZTNA options coming?
I don't.
ZTNA.
Maybe if you'd ask for more information about that, I'm not really sure. I'm not in the know whether that's it being incorporated or not, but I can definitely follow up on that for you. Okay. But basically,
Okay,
that's one thing I will say to everyone here on this call is if you have an enterprise feature you need in your environment, and you feel like it's not supported on UniFi on our platform, please ask me a question. Let me know, and I'll let you know if it is supported currently or if it's in the roadmap. But basically, if there's anything that you're missing to do your job in enterprise that we need to be able to be suitable for you, just all you have to do is tell us, and we can give you an idea of if that is in the roadmap or if that's coming. So please do feel free to add any questions like that. Happy to answer those. And so usually what I tell the people when you're considering going to UniFi, especially for, a lot of people are very comfortable moving to the switches and to the access points, but for some people it's a little more of a question. Am I ready to move to the UniFi for my enterprise routing and firewall device? What I recommend doing, and I work with customers doing this all the time, what I recommend is they basically document what features do we need or required for our environment, and then let's check to see if it's all supported right now through the product. I would bet you, I can tell you 99% of features that people need are in the product right now, which means we have parity for virtually everything. That other 1% are things that are either coming or already in early access being tested. So typically, once that's verified, you kind of verify that we have all the features you need. Then I think it's a great option to move over to that. And what's cool about it is that the product, even at state right now, with our rapid development process, you'll find that we'll be coming out with new features and things that will even add on benefits to you for using it as time goes on. So it's a product that if it works for you right now, it's great, and then it's just going to get better as time goes on. And that's the cool thing about UniFi and our approach. Despite being license free, we're really committed to making products work better for you over time. But I think that's what I would do to check with. If you need the Enterprise Fortress Gateway, just check all the specs you need, and chances are we probably have you covered. But if not, I'm sure it's on the roadmap. So that's where I would start if you're considering migrating. Let's go ahead and look over at my lab. I'm going to switch over to my lab environment here, and so we can take through an actual deployment that's using shadow mode. 2 gateways in shadow mode. This is a lab that we have set up in our Salt Lake office. I'm connected. I live in Kentucky, and I'm working from home in Kentucky, and I'm tunneling into this network securely through our cloud service. This is a nice feature that's totally free and included automatically. You can see here we get a good summary of the performance of the network, and this is the software again that's running on the Fortress Gateway itself. So while it's doing all the function of routing traffic, using applying firewall policies and everything, it also is going to be what I'm connecting to get information about the performance of that network. And what's cool is we have the resources built to facilitate that. So when it comes to Fortress Gateway, I would say that things that are unique. I mentioned a few of those settings in already, but I want to mention a few other things that are included with this. So we offer this product called CyberSecure, and some of you may have heard this. As you know, we're committed to not having licenses, but what we found is that there are certain customers in the enterprise space that need to pay for a higher level of, for instance, threat definitions. They want to get the highest end threat definitions that we can provide. And what we do is we partner with third-party solutions. A lot of other vendors do the same thing. You know, when you're going to get when you're turning on a lot of products out there will make you pay for an extra license, and then you get access to the threat definitions and the IDS functionality. I know that multiple products have multiple tiers of licenses that if you want to use that feature, you have to pay for a license. With UniFi, you can use IDS and IPS totally for free with the Fortress Gateway. But if you need something more than what we use Proofpoint's community tier. So this is actually Proofpoint's a very trusted partner that a lot of other vendors use as well. But Proofpoint is always updating their threat definitions to be able to prepare organizations for whatever threats could be out there. So we offer that for free, and we work with them to provide that for free for everyone. And then if you need something more than that, we offer CyberSecure to be kind of an option that is totally up to you. But we've priced it in a way that's very affordable and manageable. But if you're in an enterprise environment, it makes a lot of sense, right? So like $500 for a year for CyberSecure Enterprise gives you access to our enhanced security set. This includes a few different features. So, we have enhanced threat definitions, or the signatures here. You can see how many signatures are currently on this device, 111,000. Without this, I would say this is probably, I have to look it up and see, but it's something like, it's going to be much less than this, but we're going to get more frequent updates. It also includes a few other benefits too with CyberSecure, including we have enhanced content filtering. So this, again, we're talking about schools. This is a really good feature for schools. So you can use this enhanced filtering option, which in this case, we partner with Cloudflare. Some of you know them. And they provide this really in-depth set of filters that can be applied to the products. And again, this is one of those things I heard over the years that UniFi doesn't have the content filtering we need to be able to use an enterprise environment. We've heard your feedback. We're incorporating that into the product. And this is one way that we've addressed those concerns so that now we work really well for schools. So you can see here, if you subscribe to CyberSecure, it also includes this enhanced filtering. Otherwise, you're going to have access to a custom filter. We also automatically block malicious and explicit adult domains. But if you want to be more granular with that, you can do an allow list and a block list. But with the enhanced option, you have all these other categories that you use. So for instance, you can do things like, I want to block e-commerce sites. So if my wife's concerned I'm spending too much money on clothing, which I can assure you that's not the case, but if she wants to block me, she can go ahead and put this content filtering on our home network. Then I can't get out to spend all of our money on fashion. We can block fashion, we can block health and fitness, fine arts. I don't know why we want to block fine arts from our family, but whatever. Do what you want to do. But we have all these options here for you to choose, including things like paranormal. So if you're worried about your wife watching scary movies, here you go. You seeing some scary websites. There we go. We got you covered. But this is so much more expansive than the previous feature. But again, it's there if you need it. But we still have a basic version of this for you that's totally free, and that's where we're unique from a lot of different vendors out there. We don't want to upcharge you for things that you don't need. But if you need something more than what we can offer for free, because we can't go and invent and keep these threat definitions up to date ourselves, we'll network you with a trusted partner and provide to you in a way that's not meant to make us profit, but just to make it available to you. So that's what cybersecure is all about. With the Enterprise Fortress Gateway, you get access to a higher tier than it's available on the. You can actually get cybersecure on the UDM Pro, the UDM Pro Max, and all the small form factor gateways. But with the Enterprise Fortress Gateway, because it's got more CPU resources, we can actually do more with it. So we're able to do more signatures. That's why it costs more, because we can actually do more, a higher tier of threat protection for you. So that's an option for you. Totally up to you, but that's what's included in that. So you have that content filtering. We also have, these other features are also included without the use of cybersecure, but we've got them all here. But these are all features, the SSL inspection, decryption I mentioned, where you can go set up, custom filters and things for certain types of content. I can go ahead and create, a track and block, and I can put in a query type of search. So if I want to search for guns, we can add this. We can add all sorts of things. And what it's going to do is going to block search engine results that when this is used in the search. So it does extra on top of. You can also block file types, including all these different extensions. So if you want to prevent certain types of files from being downloaded in your system, you can use this to do that. So yeah, really versatile feature, and what's cool is it's totally free, so you can always get down to blocking URLs and everything. We also have the advanced option, which allows you to create inspection profiles, multiple profiles, and you can go and be more granular with this. Now the certificates installed in each client, so that gives you the ability to decrypt the traffic using the gateway device. So that is something you would need to distribute through your organization in order to ensure that you can leverage this feature. But yeah, you can get granular with this, choosing which network specifically. If you only want to apply to, like, this, if it's a school, you only want to apply to the network that's being used by the students, you can do that. You can go ahead and assign this out to that and then create your own specific filter list and everything. But it's cool. You can get a logging of all the events too. So sometimes you just want information. You can even just set it up to, instead of blocking, we're going to go ahead, instead of blocking, we're just going to track all these queries to see if it's coming up, and then we can make decisions based on that after we get a little more information. But that's a cool feature. We also have another thing we've rolled out too is enhanced logging. So we've added on a lot of logging options and more granularity with reporting. That's going to keep improving as time goes on, but you can see here it's evolved quite a bit. And then the other thing I just mentioned too is this is where you enable intrusion prevention. So this is where you turn your threat definitions and you have them applied. And with you can see here with the cybersecure enterprise, we're at 111,000 of those. But pretty cool. But there's a lot of features here, but basically you should see similar parity with other vendor gateways, that many of them which cost $10,000 or $20,000. You can get a high availability pair for $4,000 with UniFi and no recurring cost, which is going to save you, in many cases, costs less than one unit, and that's not even including the licensing. Okay. So other features too, just to mention, we do app blocking. So this is something we've added more to. You can go granular and let's say I want to block WhatsApp. I can go ahead and create a block that's going to block this from specific devices or from a network. So I can do, again, for the student network, I can create a block list. I can go ahead and block specific applications that I'm worried about students using during school. That way they can still have their mobile phones, but I'm still blocking particular types of traffic. And you can do this in any type of other enterprise environment, but it's just a nice thing to have. You can also just use categories. So we've got categories here. So this is something you can play around with too and see if this is what you want to do. But blocking peer-to-peer networks, so people aren't torrenting. You can block social networks so people aren't looking at Facebook all the time, whatever else you want to do. You can kill as much fun as you want for your employees if you want to activate this feature. So just use it at your discretion, or if you want to do it at home for your kids, you can do it that way too. But that way you can also set up a schedule, so you can set it up to where if you want to turn it on only during school hours, or if you're a residential customer, you want to turn it on to only come on at later at night, so your kids aren't getting on social media past a certain time. You can turn all this features. And so what's cool about this solution too with UniFi Enterprise is that these products are probably more expensive than what you want to pay for most home users, but I've seen in a lot of use cases where people have a lot of they do a lot of productivity at home, and it's very important that connectivity. I've seen people use Fortress gateways in high-end residential installs too. So really, it's up to you what you use these products for, but it works. It can work for any environment because it's license free, and that's something that's different about us than other vendors. Now, let's move on from cybersecure. Any questions about cybersecure before we move on, Pedro, that I need to answer?
Yes. First, a question from a little while ago about switches. Is MCLAG coming to the XG line, or will it only be on the enterprise level switches?
I don't know. I think as of right now, it's only on the campus aggregation switch. So that's the only one that we currently have it on, and we do not have it on the access switching or any other switch, even on the enterprise product. So I would expect that it's not, but I'm not entirely sure. It could always potentially be subject to change, but we also have, along those lines, we also have stacking, our first stacking model coming out this quarter. We'll be shipping stacking switches. They're basically the ECS48S and the ECS24S will be the same basically as our campus 24 and 48 PoE switches, but with the difference that they will have dedicated 100 gig ports in the back that you can use to stack multiple switches. So you can have 3 switches, one in the middle that's connected to both the other switches, and then the other stacking cable connecting those 2 switches to each other. To where if any of those switches fail, you've got full redundancy there. But that's all possible without the stacking, of course, and the same goes for MCLAG. There's benefits of having MCLAG beyond, that makes it convenient and nice feature to have, but you can still achieve full redundancy throughout your environment without the use of MCLAG. It's just sometimes it's going to be something that people prefer to use, and I understand that. But right now, that's currently only available on devices connected to an ECS aggregation. Okay. Other questions?
Okay, could you check the chat there yourself, Andrew? It's a little bit.
Yeah, let me pull it up here.
Discussion there, some questions.
Yeah, 1 second. All right, region blocking. Can you demo it? Sure. Let me show you the region blocking. So you can go ahead and just check this box here, and this allows you to block traffic either outgoing, incoming, and you can allow it or you can block it, and you can choose which country that you want. So let's say you're worried about, some people may be worried about, might want to block countries that they don't have any business relationship with, or there's no possibility of having any business arrangement. Let's say it's North Korea or something. It may not even be on this list, but let's just say we can choose a country here if there happens to be a lot of spam or potential security risks associated with it. We can go ahead and create we can block both directions. We can block outgoing, incoming, and so on, and we can really get very granular with this. And what might be a helpful way of deciding this is you can use, let's go ahead and go to, let's see. We can go into regions and actually look at the insight view, which we just changed this view. So give me a second to find it. Yes, you can go ahead and add on. You can create filters that search for different. We can go all flows here. That's what we're looking for. We're looking at threats, and you can filter these based on region. You can also see a map. We have a map view that you can see and everything. But you can maybe use that if you see a lot of traffic going to China and you're concerned about the type of traffic, you see the devices that it's going to or from, you can make decisions based off of that and use that to inform your blocking. Yeah, so it's pretty easy to set up, and again, I just would be really sensitive about how you apply it, because you don't want to necessarily block a region that there's a legitimate reason to have traffic going to, because that's just going to create problems that are going to come back to you. So it's something that maybe you use if you're in a very high security. Let's say it's a deployment where it's mainly industrial stuff, and you don't need to really connect to much on the outside, but you want to block all traffic going to any country outside the US or whatever. You can do that, but again, don't necessarily recommend it, but just be careful with how you apply that. but that is an option that you have available. Next question. So you can block can you block a country but set an exception? So a company has a remote plant in Mexico or China, but they would like to block everything but the IPs associated with that remote location. So yeah, I have to play with it and see how I would incorporate that. I haven't tried to test that out myself, but let's go look and see if we can figure it out. 1 second. Let's go in here to region blocking. And so let's go ahead and yeah, I think what we'd have to do is we would have to set up a. So if you know which IPs that you want to allow, I think you could potentially allow it through the traffic flows, and then you would allow that IP address and have that be a higher precedent than the regional block. But I haven't tested that out. I'm not sure if that's going to work properly. Because it seems like right here it's pretty basically this is just going to require the region, but if we can get the whitelist those, it might be better to do it based on IP address than it is to do it based on region, to be honest.
All right. There's another question about the EFG here from Joe. Say I have an EFG, however, I am getting poor PPPoE performance. In the future, is this something that can be offloaded like the UCG fiber can?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that is an option. I'm sure if there's, what I would recommend doing is if you haven't posted a feature request in the community, do so. I'm sure it's probably there, but would upvote that. I don't know what the current status of that is, or if that's something that's planned for the future. I know most people aren't using PPPoE, but certain applications, it's an important thing, and I can totally get where you're coming from. And yeah, so I would submit a feature request on that, or I can even submit that to our team myself. Let's see. Okay, so your zero trust networking. So yeah, so if you want to know more about what we have in terms of zero trust, it's going to continue to evolve. We have a whole platform on UniFi organizations that's coming, that's going to incorporate a lot of security features for a global enterprise organization, especially multi-site. So we're gonna have lots of options in the future. We're planning for that. I would see that evolving as a ZTNA solution, but we're not there yet right now. But it's definitely something that we are working on. Let's see.
And the latest question here: can we diagnose and test how the firewall is categorizing a site by entering and click test or something?
I mean, you can definitely test it once you can apply it to a test network, and then you can go and do the test from the client device on that network. So what you would do is you would just set up content filter, and you'd apply that to a specific network, or you can use the allow list and block list too on this, by the way, as well. You can do through the other method I showed you as well with app blocking. You can do this on specific networks, and then you can test it on that before you roll it out. So depending on which method you're using, you do have options. We also, with certain things, we've got a number of other different options of things that you can do. So we also have threat detection, like you can specifically opt into certain lists. These things we haven't set to notify. That's something you can also test. And then you can decide if you want to notify and block. But depending on which feature you're specifically referring to, I think you'll have to test it on the client devices.
And here is something that Russell categorizes as a big question. Will we be able to do organization and link cloud gateways with UniFi Server OS for MSPs?
Yes. So UniFi Server OS, so for those who aren't familiar, we've rolled out support. We started supporting the ability to run applications, run the actual server OS and run applications in containerized instances through your own server. With that includes that we can actually support a lot of things that we couldn't otherwise support. So including things like SD-WAN and stuff like that, where it's on a self-hosted instance. So that's exciting feature that we're just in the current process of developing. Currently, it's only UniFi Network that runs in that, but we've mentioned that we're going to bring that to other applications. But yeah, that's the plan. We're supposed to support that. So it's, we're early days. So that's, if you look at the blog post, we do mention that specifically. So if it's not working, it's probably something that we're working on addressing. But that's the plan. But yeah, we just released that maybe a month ago. So I don't It's very new, but I know we're supposed to support other applications, I think, as time goes on. But it's still exciting news that we have the option, and it's going to support organizations and things. So I am excited to see what comes of that. I know a lot of you are as well. Well, thank you
Those are
guys
all
for
the
the
questions
questions.
for now,
Yeah,
Andrew.
thanks everyone for the questions. I guess we'll move on then to a few other things that we can highlight. So a few big changes that have happened to UniFi in the last couple of years, the last year or so. If you haven't been using us, we moved to a zone-based firewall option. So it used to be you only had the possibility to, used to be the firewall policies look just like this list, and that was all you had was just a list of firewall policies. You'd have to create your policies like this, and then go ahead and write your put all the criteria there for that list, and you would have to move up the order of the precedence for those and reorder it this way to apply. So it was not really intuitive, and for an enterprise environment where you have lots of rules and lots of different scopes where you want to apply these rules based on what segment of the network and everything, it got really messy, and it was honestly a problem for us for enterprise. Now we rolled out zone-based firewalling, which allows you to be to have a lot larger set of rules that's applied against different segments of the network instead of just only having individual rules. So this allows you to group devices in their own zone and different segments of your network in its own zone, and then be able to easily, with one click, block certain types of traffic between these different segments of the network. So for instance, if you don't want your DMZ to be able to reach a segment of your network, you can go ahead and block it here just by going to change this. You can just change this to block, and that's all you'd have to do. So it's really easy. You can also create new zones. So we can go ahead and create a zone, and we can say this is for let's say it's for temporary installations. So if this is a venue where you have temporary vendors coming in, you can create your own segment for those, and you can allocate that to a particular segment of that network. So we can go ahead and save that, and then we'll create a zone, and then this will then show up in the list there of the zone. So we can then do block traffic between different segments of our network, and we can have policies that apply to that zone and apply to the interaction between those zones. So you can do you get very granular with this. So this is a nice feature to streamline the experience of doing firewall policies and to make it easier to visualize and configure things. It's standard for a lot of other enterprise security products. It made sense for us to have this type of feature set. So I'm excited about that. If you follow through the UI here, you can get information on that. So this will walk you through how it all works and the default zones and everything, and it will explain you how to set up the firewall policies and everything. So just follow through this, and you can get some more help and assistance with that. But it's a nice feature. I'm happy for this, but I think we've even gone beyond that now, where we have a policy table. We have object-based object-oriented networking. So this gives you the ability to do firewall policies and rules even in even a more customizable, granular way that's a little bit easier to figure out. So you can create client groups like a printer group. You can assign it out to individual clients. You can do it to network segments. And what we can do is we can do multiple things at one time. Like if we wanted to set up a route between two different portions of the network, we can do that. If we want to do a firewall policy, block certain types of traffic, route certain types of traffic from this source to this destination, we can do all of that, and we can really get very granular with this. We also have, some of you may have seen on the video where we announced this, we'll also have app-based options here. So we do have QoS options, but in terms of routing particular types of traffic through particular interfaces, and schedule that, and apply a certain allow list to the, like, there's so much stuff that you can do with this that it gives you a lot of ability to get very granular and customizable with what you do with your network. And I think this is something that we needed for a really long time. And I'm excited about potential that's going to have. Again, I expect to see, as that screenshot had apps in it, in terms of we can secure things, we can block certain types of traffic, but I want to see like routing particular types of traffic through an interface and everything else, what that's going to look like. But I expect that to change as time goes on. But there's a lot of different things you can do with this. Kind of exciting to look at all the different potential for this, but it's going to be a good one that you can go ahead and do those static routes, do QoS at the same time, and between different networks and everything. So a nice option as well. So this will be a little more You just choose those options and it'll create the rules necessary to facilitate that. And yeah, pretty cool feature. Yeah, with that too, we also have, you can create policies through our policy engine, and then this lets you get, as well as another way for you to do this. So if we want to basically, I want to route policy-based routing. I want to route anything that's going out on, I don't have any VPNs listed here, but anything is going on route interface 2. We'll say from this network. Let's say this network. And we can specify what destination and everything. But it's really cool what we can do with this. Just another way for you to set up these policies quickly and to modify and edit these through here. But there again, there's easy chance to configure all these in one place instead of having to click through 7 different places within the interface to find each one of these. Create a port forwarding rule and then have to go to port forwarding. Now you can just do it here. Specify the WAN. We can say from which IP addresses, which port we want to send it on to, what WAN port is coming in on, and turn on syslog and all that. So just cool that you can do all this now through one place and streamline the management experience for large networks and make it more, more useful to administrators. But yeah, I agree that there's still more stuff to come to this. I see Russell says, allow our block is too basic for some applications. I like to be able to configure match state on traffic and say block new and invalid only in some directions. And as you said, you can do that in zones, but you can do that, but not in the zones. But I think I would expect this capability to evolve as time goes on. This is still so new, but I'm excited about just the opportunities presented by this and how it's going to streamline things. We also have, another thing that people don't know is we added OSPF and BGP to the product. Those are another 2 features that we need to have to support certain enterprise applications. So, of course, dynamic routing protocols allow you in a large environment to facilitate dynamic routing in ways that make sense for an organization. Here you can go ahead and configure those, whether it be OSPF and BGP. But you also have the route option to, if you're doing a site-to-site VPN, to use our SD-WAN SiteMagic platform, which is just super easy. It does this automatically and still can be dynamic. So up to you what you want to do, but we have lots of options here in the product. And really, if there's a feature you need, check it out. And we have some options there for you. I do want to mention also QoS is another thing that we specifically rolled out this last year. So now you can choose based on the interface. We can choose QoS behavior if we want to limit traffic, download, upload limit for 10 megabits per second for any of the social media apps. We can go ahead and create a rule there that does that. There's a lot of options there too. We can prioritize and limit certain types of traffic, and we can also set up schedule for these things to apply. So during business hours, you can set it up to where specific applications don't overuse your resources, and also prioritize those productivity apps so that you do get the best performance on those if the network has to be pretty congested. So that was another thing we've rolled out recently. If I did a list of all the features we've rolled out on the routing stack, it would be a pretty long presentation, especially if I went into them in any depth. But there we have it. I just want to show you some of the different, policy engine and what this is doing to change the management experience and what potential there is there. And I'm excited to see how this evolves too moving forward. But pretty cool what we can do now. It didn't used to be nearly this easy in the past, and it's exciting to see that it's getting better. So that is some of the features I wanted to go over. Any questions for me about these features we went over so far today? A lot of times people, when they're getting started, it's the big thing about moving to UniFi from another vendor is a lot of times people it takes some time to get familiarized with the different ways of managing your network. So like things like even VLANs can be difficult initially if you don't know how to do it. But once you get the hang of it, it's really straightforward and very easy in UniFi to do that. It just takes some familiarity. So I do recommend, if you're new to it, check our documentation. We have a lot of really good documents. We also have a GPT, UniFi GPT, that will give you step-by-step instructions if you want to turn on certain things in the network with actual documentation that you can use as reference. That's one of the things I have heard is that I've heard people say we don't have a lot of documentation. We do have a lot of documentation. I personally have written a lot of it. We don't always put it out there for people to see. But if you use our GPT tool, you can get access to a lot of that, and there is a lot of useful resources there for you. So please do check that out. All those features I went over today, virtually all of them will have an article on our help center here. You can see here, this is an example of one of those. I can go ahead and show you the, so if we go to support and it takes us to the help center, I can ask GPT a question. I can say, okay, how do I turn on QoS on a switch port? And then it'll give you an answer, and then it'll network you with articles. You can see here, it does a pretty good job of giving you answers. And then sometimes I would recommend that you just check that against the article references it provides, because AI, unfortunately, if you want it to be expansive, it sometimes will hallucinate at times. This all looks good to me so far. Here you can follow through the settings, and you can actually go down all the way on the granular level and do manual QoS settings. So if I followed through this again, you just go into you can go into the port manager, go to the switch port that you want to configure, and let's say it's this switch port here. I can go in here now and go to manual, turn on QoS, create a new QoS profile, and here I have all those granular options for QoS. And this again is really important in certain environments that are doing things like Pro AV, stuff like that. We make it kind of easy to where we have pre-set up Pro AV port profiles for things like Dante or QSys, NDI, AS67, Crestron. But you have these options. These are basically built-in QoS protocols that basically you can select. But anyways, just to go back to the original point, that you can just go through like this will give you useful steps. You can follow through this to find that setting and to configure it. And then you also have links to articles that will walk you through this. So sometimes, again, like I said, our problem isn't that we don't have the articles, it's that sometimes it's difficult to find what you're looking for, and using this GPT tool to network that content is really helpful. I even use that myself. We've gone over several of the features we discussed today. So zone-based firewall, and we've got policy-based routing. You can get information too about how to do different policy routing through VPN and so on. So pretty cool what you can do, and just check out these articles. So you can see here, I guess that's a question. You had someone mentioned about ZTNA. We do support integration with SASE platforms, ZTNA platforms like Zscaler or Cloudflare, but you can use it using with a policy-based routing rule to send all internet traffic through a tunnel that you've created with the zero trust exchange on that. So I guess going back to that question, that's how you would answer that. But GPT tool is really helpful, and can network a lot of those resources that you need. All right, other questions. I think we've gone through enough content. I probably overwhelmed you with a lot of this, but I do want to make sure to give time for everyone to ask me more questions, because a lot of times I find that's what people are here for. And I'm a wireless expert. It's my main area of expertise. I'm not as much of a routing expert. We do have a new member of our team that's going to be, you probably some of you will work with it that is, but I definitely know if I can answer a fair amount of questions if you do have them. So please, any other questions people have, I'm happy to answer. In terms of, I see a question from Russell. Do you recommend creating a VLAN with /30s and addressing /30 addressing for PTP to remote sites to join them and do static routing? Personally, I don't have a recommendation about that myself. Again, I would I wouldn't feel comfortable giving you a recommendation on that specifically. Other questions for me?
Here's a question from Jerry, Andrew. Mm-hmm. Is the deep inspection option on cybersecurity module available on the Dream Machine Pro Max?
Yeah, deep packet DPI is not available on all of those. So let me show you the setting for that. Let me go back to my lab here. So the cool thing is too, I just want to note here, you can do this, or you just type in the feature that you want to use, and here is the device and traffic inspection identification here. Let me see the the SSL inspection here. The deep inspection here is available. This is only available on. Sorry, we changed the term a couple times. This is actually only available. SSL inspection is only available on the Enterprise Fortress Gateway. It does take a lot of resources. So the other thing is you want to consider the more security features you have enabled, the more consuming that is going to be of your resources. But in this case, with the Fortress Gateway, you're going to be pretty solid unless you're doing 10,000 client devices. Then you may not want to have all those security features enabled. It just balances it out. So I think a lot of times in those settings, like an arena, you're more just going to more protect your internal resources, and then they're going to have public access, and that's it. And then security features you can be selective about what you enable just to conserve resources. But yeah, this is sorry to answer your question. The SSL inspection is only available on the Fortress Gateway.
Here's a question from Joe. Will we get a CLI manual at all?
A CLI manual at all? I think probably not likely at this point. We do have, from the standpoint, I'll tell you what we do have that I hope we'd have one day. But for those of you that do want to use the API, we have API documentation built in now. We used to not support this. So typically we recommend with UniFi. That's the thing about UniFi. You don't have to do CLI to manage things. We do have plenty of resources online to the community and stuff that you can follow through, but we don't provide any sort of documentation. We want you to be able to do everything in a more automated way than having to use the CLI. I know in certain cases people are going to need that anyways. And so we do have resources there, but the documentation specifically, I think the API is some area that we're going to be expanding resources. So what's great about this is that using our API, you can automate and integrate UniFi with any sort of third-party solution. There's a lot of customers out there that, for instance, like a Google that manages a large organization is going to have, instead of having one, they're not going to work exclusively out of the UniFi dashboard for all their networks because they're going to use multi-vendor products, put them all into one dashboard using the APIs to be able to make it to where no matter what vendor they're using, they can configure and do all the same things, monitor the performance. In the same way you can get from UniFi performance statistics that you can pull into your own dashboard to display alongside your other third-party product performance statistics. But basically, whatever you need to do with the application, anything you can do in the UniFi application, you can do with the API. And we're in the process of documenting more and more of those features so that you can be able to leverage this. So if you want to basically automate generating hotspot vouchers to where basically you could have it set up in a hotel cafe that in a restaurant or cafe, you can have it set up to where if someone I had a friend that runs a cafe and uses UniFi, and he was asking me if there's a way for them to put Wi-Fi password on a receipt, create a temporary Wi-Fi password. I was like, well, yeah, there's a few ways that you could do it. You could generate lots of PPSKs in advance and then have those dynamic PPSKs, all that stuff. But you can use the API as well to generate some of this stuff and have it integrated. There's some ways to do it, different apps that you can incorporate. But if, for instance, if you wanted to be able to generate a voucher dynamically through another application, you could use that application, have it initiate a script that's going to go and create a voucher based on the criteria, and then you could potentially put that on a receipt or whatever. So yeah, there's cool stuff that you can do, and this is we're documenting this, so this is going to be the way that we're kind of empowering administrators to do stuff that's beyond the application. But I don't see us really growing in the direction of being more CLI oriented, to be honest with you.
Okay, Andrew. Well, thank you very much. I'm just going to say mention a couple of case studies that Flytec is working on right now. Interesting. And I want to emphasize on the no licensing fees part of UniFi Enterprise. We're working with a university, a 4-campus university from the Northeast in the United States. They're starting to get away from $90,000 a month on fees, switching from Cisco and Aruba to UniFi. It's a big project. They're going to finish this probably until next year, but that's a lot of money to be paid on fees. And another interesting case study that we're working at, this is a new warehouse. It's a dairy wholesaler in the state of New York. And what's interesting about this case study for us here at Flytec, it's going to be truly a full stack project because they're going to be using like 250 AI cameras, of course, EFG switches, door access. They're even going to be installing some EV chargers, UniFi EV chargers. That's a very interesting ongoing project right now. That's what I wanted to mention. And and give you thanks again, Andrew, and hopefully I'll see you on November 4th on the
Yeah.
UniFi World Conference, and hopefully I'll see a lot of the attendees there. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
I will be at that event as well. So if anybody here attends these webinars wants to come up and chat, I will be at UWC. I would love to meet you in person. Again, I always appreciate you guys joining and appreciate your thoughtful questions and feedback you give us. Thanks so much.
Thank you
Take
very
care,
much,
everyone.
everybody. Okay, bye.
Bye.